there's a process to producing knowledge that is even more powerful. It's not just the knowledge itself is powerful, but even more powerful is that when we realize there's a process involved, and who is involved in that process, who controls knowledge, how does it get produced. And too often, it's produced by intellectuals and people in power, and it ends up on shelves and books or in journals read only by peers, the same kind of power, and it doesn't ever trickle down into action and change. And that's what action research does. And there's all kinds of varieties of it that goes way back, but it takes as an assumption at the very beginning that research can affect social change. It can be used for social justice. And in this process, it's not just a researcher who's deciding the questions, how it should be collected, collecting the data, analyzing it, producing it, but at different levels, the community can be invited in, become important stakeholders in that process. And the more they're involved, in my opinion, the more that research will become valuable to the community, even to the point of them identifying the needs, deciding how to be involved in collecting the data, analyzing that data, disseminating it. And when it gets disseminated, it often doesn't just end up in a report to a funder or on a shelf, but it produces action. You see youth rights media, it ends up being films and videos. I worked with an organization in Kentucky where it ended up being hip-hop music and dance and productions. That's a valid way to disseminate knowledge that ends up in the community. But more important than the dissemination piece is the action piece to me. So I was going to tell you about a few examples. I work for ICR. I can't tell about I was reading up on its history today. It goes back to 1987. Sarah works with me there. I think Gannon was, I don't know who else, maybe others of you worked there too, but Gannon's worked there. I've only been there about 8 months. But in its mission statement, ICR in Hartford has meant to do research with the community. It's up front. It doesn't always do it with the community at every level, but to help the community become healthier, especially along the issues of health and education. Another piece that's kind of unique about ICR is its ability to fight for cultural diversity and indigenous rights and those kinds of things around the arts and people's cultural identities. But the project I'm on is looking at this drug ecstasy, how it might connect with STD and HIV and sex. And we don't have a big intervention piece on that. It's probably the most extreme towards basic research, but hopefully there will be an intervention at the piece. But ICR has been effective in working on the community on housing issues, health for the elderly, youth. Youth is a big piece of that, the summer youth program. I know last year the Youth Action Research Program did a study. The youth decided, what are we going to study? They said to study racism in Hartford. And over the